Fantastic. All right. Shalom Aleichem, Rabotai. Welcome to our class, Yalkut Yosef. We are up to Lichot Tefillin, moving forward, Be'ezrat Hashem. And joining us at this moment is Mr. William Baruch Haba. So we've reached the part where we're going to talk right now about the Ritzuot. The Ritzuot are the strips of the Tefillin, which we all know, the black Ritzuot, that's the color. Now, regarding this black, how important it is that they are black. Sometimes, usually after a while, they get worn out. Some areas become more whitish or grayish. So there's a special pen, actually should have here. I don't remember where I put it. It's a special Tefillin pen. And whenever you have darkness, you can't just use any marker, right? It has to be a special ink that is used for Tefillin. So you can color that. But let's say you don't have that and you're wearing the Tefillin. Where does it have to be black and what's the criteria? So the area, first of all, that points towards the outside, meaning the strap has two sides. The inner side, minadin, it doesn't have to be black. It's good. If you go now to stores, a lot of the stores sell to you the ritzuah, the strips of the tefillin, that the leather is black from both sides. That is very helpful because in case something flips, you're always black, right? But minadin, the one that is facing outside, that needs to be black. And this is only a must in the area where the mitzvah of the tefillin itself are, which means in the head, it's the entire, oh, you have it! That's exactly what I was looking for. Very good, very good. Very good, very good. So hopefully we don't need to use that, and our ritzuot are always perfect, but sometimes you do. So where is it a must? The area from the knot in the back until the front part, that is the area that you have to have the black, and it has to be perfect. The strings that fall down, it's okay if they're not perfectly black, meaning it's better you do it, you paint it, but the only reason you would paint those is because of the mitzvah of Ze'eli ve'anvehu. Anybody remember what that mitzvah means? Oh, Giacomo joined us as well, Baruch haba. Ze'eli ve'anvehu is the mitzvah of beautifying the mitzvot in front of Hashem. So you want to make it beautiful, so you paint it black. But really where you need to have it black is around the head area and in the arm, around the kibot. The kibot is this part where we put the tefillin. In these two areas, if there's something that is not perfectly black, make sure to use the pen, the special pen, and if you don't have it, Mr. Steve here will provide what is required. So now we cover that. Head and arm is what was needed. The rest has to be painted. What happens if I put on the tefillin and after I finished, I take off the head and I see, oh my God, this area has a white area. Did I complete the mitzvah tefillin or did I not complete the mitzvah tefillin? Surprising answer. You did not complete the mitzvah of tefillin. So if it happened after, you have to put on your tefillin again after you paint it, because in those areas it's mandatory, and even b'di'avad, even after we did it and said a bracha, sorry, it doesn't pass. That's what the Yalkut Yosef teaches us. Now, what happens if a person, we spoke about this with talit. We said if a person goes to the bathroom or he leaves for half hour, and we ended up coming to that criteria, that if you leave for half hour, then you should say the mitzvah again of Asher Kedisham v'Yitzvah. But if it's just for 10 minutes, if you went to the restroom and you come back, you do not repeat the beracha. Unless, we said with the talit, you had in mind that you're not coming back for this, you already folded it in your bag, and then something occurred and you had to stay, so you took it out and put it on again. Since you completely removed your mind from it, then you say the bracha, but otherwise you do not say. The case with tefillin, we're going to see, it's different. With the tefillin, I'm talking about the tefillin of Rashi. Some people put Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam together, but I'm talking about the tefillin of Rashi, that on those, we actually say the beracha. Anytime you put on the tefillin again, you say the bracha again. Which means that if in the middle of the tefillah, you felt like you can't hold it, you have to go, you take off your tefillin, 3 minutes pass, it doesn't matter. You have to say the beracha of the tefillin once again. You decided...
The Baruch Hashem, and also you say Verastich again? Both?
I mean, the Verastichi is you're talking about Kadeshli or just those 3 lines?
No, just the Verastich, just the 3.
So that's something that we do, it's like a Verastichli, the translation of that means like an engagement, Le'erusin, Verastich. So like these are like kind of like an engagement ring, which is a very good thing to do, but it's not part of the tefillin, to an extent that if you did not do that yet, and there's something going on in the Bet Knesset, Kaddish, Kedusha, it's not considered that you stopped right now, because it's not really part of it. It's a good thing to do, and it's attached to it, But you don't have to do that. So when we come back, of course, we're going to put on the tefillin back the way we did, but we don't have to repeat the Ve'irastichli again, at least from I saw. He just said that you have to repeat the Beracha again. What's the bracha? What does it mean? Why do we repeat a bracha? The bracha, as long as we had a kavanah in our mind, then the bracha stands, all right? But for example, tefillin, you're not allowed to take the tefillin into the bathroom with you, right? Because it has the name of Hashem, as opposed to the talit. Therefore, the bathroom break is a ifsek. So you have to say the beracha once again. Because even though it took 1 minute, but you could not think or be part of the tefillin over there. So the beracha is kind of a restart. You have to come back. But it doesn't mean that before you weren't keeping the mitzvah of tefillin. You were. Now you're keeping it again. So the Ve'irastichli, it seems like, once you did it once a day, Hashem, we're engaged together. Yeah, but it doesn't cost money. I'm sure that even if you don't think about it, once you do this, the Ve'irastichli will come on its own. And there's no minus to that, unless you're in the middle of areas where you're not allowed to speak. Let's say something occurred like that, where you're not allowed to speak. For example, we'll get to Ilchot Tefillah soon. We'll get to what happens if you're between Baruch Shamar and Ishtabach. What happens if you're between Yotzer and Shemon Esrei? Certain areas you're just not allowed to speak, all right? So in those cases, certain things will be forbidden to say, certain things will be allowed to say. We'll also see what happens if I'm a little behind and the Chazan is saying Kaddish. Can I answer? Can I not answer? What if not Kaddish? What if I just hear a Beracha? But all of those are already part of the halachot of Tefillah, which are our next topic, meaning once we finish Tzitzit and Tefillin, and Tzitzit we already finished, we have a couple more classes, I believe, around Tefillin, Bezrat Hashem. Hopefully we'll have another test. This time, you already got the formula. It's not going to be hard, but it's going to help us remember. We're going to have something to keep us on top of the material. And then we're going to jump into Berachot Kriyat Shema. After Kriyat Shema, there's also Tefillah. So in those areas, they talk a lot about the Ifsekim, the breaks, what are we allowed to do, what are we not allowed to do. And of course, between I forgot to mention, of course, there's also the halachot of Pesukei de Zimra. Pesukei de Zimra is between Baruch Shamar and Ishtabach. Of course, that comes before Shema and Shemon Esrei. I've already moved forward with the reviewing, so sometimes I confuse the order. But that's the order. After Tzitzit and Tefillin, we have Berkot HaShachar and Shar Berachot, it's called, meaning the blessings of the morning, Pogach Ivrim, Zokef Kuvim, all of those, together with the berachot of between Baruch Shamar and Ishtabach. Then there's another criteria, the Kriyat Shema, everything that comes with Kriyat Shema, and then we'll get to Shemon Esrei as well. So hopefully when we get there, we'll touch it. But bottom line is, when you put on the tefillin, you have to say the beracha again. Regarding the Ve'irastichli, I didn't see anyone say that you have to repeat that again. So it depends where you are. If you're in an area where it doesn't hurt to say it, obviously it will come out naturally. Okay. Now, what happens if I borrow tefillin from a friend? Okay? So when we borrow talit from a friend, we say, we shouldn't say the beracha. Why? Because the pasuk says, "V'haya lachem letzitzit," and the tzitzit should be yours. So unless your friend declared, "I'm giving this to you as a gift," so that you return it to me, but right now it's yours, right? Matana al menat lachzir. Usually that's what a friend has in mind. But say the friend is not there, and he has his talit there, and this friend is going to allow me to wear his talit. I'm doing a mitzvah. He's not going to allow me. Okay, so you're borrowing it. Let's say, assume that he won't get upset with you, but you don't say the beracha because it's not yours. With tefillin, the case is different. There's no tzivui, there's no commandment of v'haya lachem, like with the tzitzit. So it doesn't have to be yours. Even though it belongs to someone else, I could still say the beracha of tefillin. This happens sometimes in our Bet Knesset here in Ra'anana. You have people that have to say Kaddish. They're not so accustomed to coming to Minyan. Sometimes they forget the tefillin. They show up in shul. In the front, there's a box, spare tefillin. They go, they put it on. So they could say the beracha. Now, he also points out, the Yalkut Yosef, that as opposed to a talit, that if your friend doesn't even know, but if you take his talit, he wouldn't mind. Tefillin, it's not the case. When the tefillin are not yours, don't assume that your friend will be happy that you're making a mitzvah with his tefillin. Oh, I'm giving him a zichut. No. The natural behavior regarding tefillin is to be makpid. I'm not comfortable when people are putting on my tefillin. Maybe they're not careful to keep the corners exactly where they need to be straight. They're going to rub it off a little bit. People don't have the same comfort with talit as they do with the tefillin. Tefillin, they're more strict. Therefore, if you don't have permission, do not use someone else's tefillin. All right, what happens? Lo alenu, someone broke his arm, he has a cast on. Well, let's say he's a righty, and now he needs to put on the tefillin on his left hand, and he has a cast on his left arm, on his left hand. What does he do? So if the cast reaches all the way up to the kibo, to the area where he needs to place the tefillin, he is allowed to put the tefillin on the cast. You don't tell him go on your right hand. No, he puts it on the cast. But over here, when he puts this, he doesn't say a beracha. Instead, when he puts the tefillin of Rosh, he says Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tefillin. Oh, Simon, Baruch haba, and Mazal Tov, Simon. Only smachot be'ezrat Hashem. So when he puts on the tefillin shel Rosh, then he says the bracha, but the bracha that usually only the Ashkenazim say. This is the bracha that only Sfaradim get to say it if they stopped by talking between tefillin shel yad and tefillin of head. Then we say al mitzvah tefillin when we put it on. Another scenario is today. When do we also say a bracha for the head? When we couldn't say the bracha on the hand because we placed it on the cast, even though there's a hefsek there, so it's not worthy of bracha. We put it on. We make the bracha only when we reach the head. And when you say the bracha of the head, have in mind to be motzi yedei chova, the mitzvah of the arm, in case you covered it through the head. That's what your mindset should be. Now what happens, and sadly, you see this, but it's good news. People that have tattoos, they became about teshuvah. Sometimes you go to the mikveh, you see tattoos you could never imagine. I'm telling you, people, Baruch Hashem, the places that they were and where they're going right now. Tell you a side note, the rabbis today are dealing with very tough halachot regarding people that have tattoos of Hashem's name on their body. People put Yud K Vav K on their body. There's a book here, Merkavot Argaman, that talks about it. Just last week, Arav Ben Chaim, in his class, someone came, showed him a picture of body parts with Hashem's name. I said, what do we do with this? It's a problem because you're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. How do you do it? It's a whole big discussion. These things are relevant. So a guy did teshuvah, forget Hashem's name. He just has a tattoo, and now he's embarrassed. There's a full bet Knesset over here. Everybody needs to know that I have a dragon on my arm right now. I'm embarrassed. This belongs to my past. Removing it is either very expensive or very painful. I got exempt from it. But now if I'm going to put on the tefillin, everybody's going to see. What does a person like that do? So ideally, he should put it on and right away cover it with his sleeve. So if you could do it quickly so that no one sees, that would be ideal. But says Yalkut Yosef that if it's impossible to put it on that nobody will see and you'll get embarrassed, your shame is greater than doing the mitzvah properly. Put the tefillin on your sleeve. He allows that. You're allowed to put the shirt on like this, put the tefillin here, on it, on top of it, just so that you don't get embarrassed. He calls it kevod habriot, the honor of Hashem's creation. This is what's beautiful about our halacha. Halacha is not dry math, even though you would think, halacha, there's strict rules. But even inside the halacha tells you that you have to be sensitive and you have to be careful with people's feelings. It's a beautiful example. Now, if someone chas v'chalila is a gidem is a person that does not have an arm. So I'm talking about the lower part, right? Gidem she'en lo yad, meniach al hazroa lelo bracha. So he puts it here, even though he can't do all the proper wrapping around his finger and the verastichli, so he should put it on, but he does not say the beracha. And if he doesn't have a complete arm from the shoulder and off, lo aleno, sadly, now at this war, a lot of people, lost their body parts. Shalom neda, just today, Mincha Arvit here, the rabbi was talking about one commander that went inside with some sort of army car. It's not a tank, but Merkava it's called, and the RPG penetrated and he lost his leg. He was discussing Yalkut Pesach and somehow we got to that. But people lose body parts. So what do they do? Chas v'chalila lo alenu. If he doesn't have an arm completely, he doesn't put on his right hand. He only puts the tefillin shel Rosh. That's it. He's exempt from putting on the yad. He only puts on tefillin shel Rosh. Okay. Now, in Rosh Chodesh, usually the Chazan says the Kaddish, and then before we begin the Musaf, everybody quickly takes off their tefillin and we begin the Musaf, right? That's what we do. Why? it's according to the Kabbalah. There's a secret to take off the tefillin after the Kaddish. Some people make this mistake. Oh, once the Chazan is starting the Kaddish, they say, okay, I can already, let me prepare, let me save time so that I could start the Amidah of Musaf right away. No. According to the Sot, to the Kabbalah, the right way to do it is to take off your tefillin only after the Kaddish. Now, what happens if a person waited the Kaddish and then naturally he heard the guy next to him that I guess didn't know that idea of the Kabbalah, and he already started Amidah because he took off his tefillin earlier. So he started doing Hashem Sifatai Tiftach, and he's praying. In the middle of the Musaf, he says, oh my God, my tefillin are on my head right now. So what does he do? Is he supposed to take it off in the middle of Musaf, or does he leave it on? Anybody want to try to guess?
Turn it around. Turn it to the side.
10 points for Mr. Jacob. Well, how did you pull that out? You learned these halachot?
Sometimes.
Kol hakavod. Sometimes. Kol hakavod. That's exactly. You move the tefillin of the head to the side, and in the arm, you put some sort of chatzitza. You take a sleeve or something, and you put it under the box of the tefillin. So even though they are placed there physically, it's considered like they're not on you. And now that they're not on you, it's like you're praying the musaf without. But don't make a stop in the musaf, remove all your tefillin. You're in the middle of a conversation with the king. You're going to do big actions like that. No. As Giacomo said, chazaku baruch, really, kol hakavod, you put a block in the arm and you remove the head to the side a little bit. And that's how you cover it. Now, we were talking about kadesh li and v'haya ki yeviecha. A person is running late to shul. Lo aleno, it happens. Now, he's thinking, should I say kadesh li now? Maybe I should save it till after alenu l'shabach. What is the right time to say kadesh li and v'haya ki yeviecha? So, of course, ideally, if you have the time, right on when you put on your tefillin. But if you couldn't do it then, for some reason you forgot or whatever, the best time to read kadesh li and v'haya ki yeviecha is before Baruch She'amar. Why? Because once you hit Baruch She'amar, you already can't break. You can't make any breaks. And you could say, maybe I'll say it after Alenu. Okay, so I'll say it after Amidah. We say Kaddish Titkabal. After Kaddish Titkabal, now I have a break. I'm allowed to talk again. So maybe over there I'll say the Kaddish Li. No. There's a beauty in doing the mitzvot according to the order that they are written in the Torah. And in the order of the Torah, in the Parashot HaShavua, first Kadesh li and v'haya ki yeviecha, and then Shema v'haya im shamoa. And therefore, it is better that you place the Kadesh li and v'haya ki yeviecha before you get to Kriyat Shema. So you have an opportunity to read it at the end of the Tefillah or before Baruch She'amar, which Baruch Hashem today the custom is, everybody knows, right away when we put on our Tefillin, we say it. But assuming that that wasn't the case, still, read it before Baruch She'amar, it would be better than to read it at the end. Why? Because of the order of these prayers that are written inside the Torah. All right. So now the way of taking off tefillin. So he says, אין זה מן הדין, אבל יש שנהגו לחלוץ גם 3 כריכות מהזרוע לפני הראש. So let's remind ourselves, how do we put on the tefillin? We say, אשר קידשנו מצוות ציוונו להניח תפילין. We have in mind that Yetziat Mitzrayim, that we're doing this for the mitzvah, that Hashem controls the upper worlds and the lower worlds, and we are Hashem's. Anything you want to add on with their regard in that mindset is good, or you read the L'Shem Yichud. You put on your Seder Beracha, you wrap 7 over here, you put on the head, and then you wrap the last 3 on your finger, right? Ideally, according to the Sfaradi Shita, the Sfaradi way is to, when we put on our arm, we should be sitting down, and then when we put on the head, we should be standing up, and then we wrap on the finger again. And the wrapping of the finger, he says that the same way you put it on, ideally, that should be the way you take it off. Don't right away take off your tefillin shalosh. Remove the 3 from the finger, and then remove the head, and then remove the arm. But regarding the removing of the 3 of the finger, he says above that, some have a custom to not just stop here, to remove the verastichli part. Some also remove 3 from the out of the 7 that we put here. Some remove that. I personally do that. A lot of people do that. So it's not just removing the arm until here, but remove also 3 as well. Because Maharash Vital, Rav Shmuel Vital was the son of Rav Chaim Vital, which was the student of the Ari HaKadosh. In other words, Kabbalah. According to the Kabbalah, And this is also brought in the Machzik Beracha. Machzik Beracha is a book by the Chida and also the Ben Ish Chai. Basically, all the Mekubalim say that the best way to do it is when you're removing the tefillin, don't just stop here, then take off the head. Take 3 more. I don't know, you guys do that? Is that what they teach everyone? No, you stop here and you take off the head. So now we know, we learned, if we do 7 over here, leave 4, take 3 off from here, and then take off the head, and then continue to the arm. Because if you're doing that, you are also keeping what is according to the Kabbalah. Now, it's not that if you don't do that, there's a problem, right? But a lot of the times, if we have an ability to do a mitzvah that more opinions hold by it, then we are doing the mitzvah more beautiful. We are keeping a mitzvah from the Torah of what? Of Ze'eli Vanvil, beautifying the mitzvot. How did I didn't make anything more beautiful. What's more beautiful about me listening to that opinion and not that opinion? Says Rav Meir Eliyahu, there are different levels of beautifying the mitzvot. Some levels of beautifying are in the actual handwriting or the parchment or the sofer stam that wrote it. All right, wow, now it's more beautiful. But he says there are other levels of beautifying the mitzvot. One of them is by being happy while you're doing the mitzvah. You're also keeping the mitzvah of Zeli Vanvil. Why? Because I'm happy. And another one that he says, what way can we make a mitzvah beautiful? Is by trying to keep as many opinions as we can. If we added another opinion, then even though the mitzvah of tefillin is in the same level, but we made a side mitzvah right now. Side mitzvah of Ze'eli Vanvil, to beautify the mitzvah before Hashem. So if it's not difficult, why lose that? Besides the fact that according to the Kabbalah, that's the right way. But we're not mekubalim, okay. Well, why lose that opinion? It doesn't take anything from us. All right. Now when we fold our tefillin, I don't have the thing here, but let's say this is the tefillin box, all right? So we're rolling the tefillin from both sides, right? The strings. Now in the middle, we have the kufsa, the box. What stands out, the bump, right? So that place is holier than the strings, because it has inside the names of Hashem, the Parshiot, Kadesh Li V'Akevecha, Shema V'Ayam Shamoa. And therefore, when you strap, most people don't do that, but just so we know, how did that happen? Everyone is taught to tie your tefillin, tie from this side and tie from this side. Why don't we tie above the head in the middle? Because you're not supposed to. Because the middle is more important, more valuable than these strings, spiritually I'm talking about. And therefore, we don't want to put something less valuable. It's like someone, putting a baseball on a Sefer Torah. What are you doing? The Sefer Torah is a higher level. This should be on top of that. Lavdid, this is all holy, it's all part of a mitzvah. But I gave an extreme example so we get the idea. So when we wrap, make sure to leave the top that stands out, the bite, it's called, not covered by the strings. Okay. Now regarding putting on tefillin at night. Do we put on tefillin at night? So obviously everybody knows that the custom is that we do not put on the tefillin. But why? What would be the problem? So the halacha brings down that the problem with putting on tefillin at night is because someone may fall asleep with them. And if you may fall asleep with them, then there could be bizayon. Bizayon means you put the tefillin in disgrace. They may get hurt. Sometimes naturally a person does, dirty things with his hands or with his body while he's asleep. It's just disgrace for the tefillin, and therefore we do not put on the tefillin at night. Some wanted to say it's not just because of that. It's because there's a pasuk that proves that it has to be only during the day. What's the pasuk? V'shamarta et hachukah hazot lemo'ada miyamim yamima. And you should keep this mitzvah from days to days. Miyamim yamima. So they wanted to say, you see, it doesn't say it's from days to nights. It says miyamim yamima, from days to days. Therefore, we learned that it's only during the day. That's not the halacha. That's not the halacha from the Torah. Only Chachamim came and put the restriction because we were scared that it's going to get disgraced. But from the Torah, we don't see that it is forbidden to put it at night. Don't learn that pasuk that way, says Yalkut Yosef. And therefore, a soldier, like right now, we had a lot of soldiers, they didn't get a break. From morning till night, they were in combat. They are exempt. When I'm busy with a mitzvah, I'm exempt from other mitzvahs. He's busy with a mitzvah protecting Am Yisrael. No one is going to complain, why didn't you put on tefillin? Okay, no one is going to complain, but how can I go through a day without having tefillin on me? What should I do? What should you do? In a case like that, says the Yalkut Yosef, you should put on the tefillin at night. It's 12 o'clock at night. Put it on right now, but no bracha. You want to say a beracha only during the day. But at least you got to put on the tefillin on you. So we see here that there is an element of putting on tefillin at night, especially in a case like this. Now, when will you be allowed to say a beracha on the tefillin? A guy wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, shacharit is only in 4 hours. It's at 7 o'clock. But I love my tefillin. I'll put them on now, and I'll start learning with the tefillin. It's a very big deal to learn with the tefillin. Recommended even 2 minutes after tefillah, but learn something with the tefillin on. Unbelievable. Baruch Hashem, in our communities, we have the custom to say in Halacha in Beit Knesset. So it's a very good thing. But either way, the earliest time that you could say the beracha on the tefillin is 1 hour before nets, 1 hour before sunrise. So we said that halachic times, if you look in your calendars, you'll see it, but there's dawn, and 72 minutes after dawn, there's sunrise. 12 minutes after dawn, meaning 1 hour before the sunrise, is the first time that we are allowed to put on tefillin with a beracha, right? That's the earliest that you could say the beracha. Now, this happens as well with soldiers. You see, guys, they come onto mincha for the Beit Knesset, they put on tefillin. Whoa, why didn't you put in the morning? No, I was anus, I was in the army, whatever happened, we don't know. The guy is putting on tefillin now. He's allowed to mincha, pray with mincha, very good. Once they finish tefillat mincha and they're about to start praying alvit, here, Yasir miyad bashkia, he has to take it off. Once the sun sets, he has to take off his tefillin. But why? We saw with the soldier, maybe it's allowed, maybe not allowed. No. There's a problem with people seeing us with tefillin when the sun is already set. What's the problem? That they're going to learn. They're going to think, it's allowed, you're allowed to put on tefillin at night. And then those guys are going to come and start putting on tefillin at night to begin with. Lekatchila, maybe they're even going to say beracha. They're going to think it's allowed. And therefore, the halacha is, even though you put on tefillin mincha, very good. Once the sun sets, take it off. Sometimes this happens in the middle of the chazara of the shaliach tzibur. The chazan, you're praying mincha, you finish the amidah, the sun already set, but once you started mincha on time, you can continue up to 13 minutes within, right? So he's repeating, but it's already sunset. Yeah, you should take off your tefillin. The second the sun sets, don't have it so that people don't learn and think that it is allowed to put on that out. We have a couple more minutes to get on another halacha. Okay, interesting case. Someone forgot to put on tefillin in the morning, and he remembered ben hashmashot. Anybody remember what ben hashmashot is? I think we touched this point. There's shkia, and there's tzeta kochavim. Tzeta kochavim is the time where Shabbat is over. Shkia is the time when the sun sets. As we know, when the sun sets, it doesn't mean Shabbat is over. There's about a, let's say, 20-minute gap or so, depending on how you count it. So usually we're strict for Yetziat Shabbat. We take 40 minutes according to the opinion of the Geonim. But whatever it is, his Ben Hashmashot is really, in halachic time, the 13 minutes after sunset. The sun has set. And those 13 minutes, he's saying to himself, oh my God, I didn't put on tefillin today. What does he do? In that case, he would be allowed to put on his tefillin because even though the sun set, but the tzeta kochavim, the stars did not come out yet, he is allowed to put on the tefillin. With a beracha or without a beracha? What do you think? With a beracha. Very good, very good. Okay. But, so this is a side note that I wrote here. But sometimes people pray Arvit early. Ever happened to us? And usually when Arvit, you can only do it at 8:30. People come to Mincha at 6:30. They want to do a quick Arvit. They do the Arvit, and the Kriyat Shema of Arvit, they'll read at home later on so that they don't miss the Kriyat Shema of Boker Uvalayla. You need to read it twice a day, in the morning and the night. You pray Arvit early, you missed that Shema. Okay, we'll complete it later. We prayed Arvit early. After I prayed Arvit early, the sun has set, but the Ben Hashmashot, the stars have not come out yet. Those 13 minutes. Now I want to put on my tefillin, but I already prayed Arvit. Can I put it on? So Steve is saying no. And he's right, but he's 50% right. What do I mean 50% right? We allow him to put on the tefillin, but we do not allow him to say a beracha. Why? So just you say you lost it. No, because there's an opinion that says that it's very, very strict in the Shamaim that a head does not have tefillin on it even for 1 day. And therefore, you should be very careful. So even if you're not saying the beracha, put it on. Even though you already prayed Alvit, you declared that it's nighttime. But since the sun has set, but the kochavim, the stars, did not come out yet, then you could put it on without a beracha. All right, Rabotai. Chazaku Baruch, gentlemen. Thank you. I'm going to send to our chat a question regarding next week. At next Wednesday, where Shiur should be, I'll be on the way to you, B'ezrat Hashem, on a plane. So either we do it Tuesday or we do it Thursday with your permission, so that we don't miss a Shiur. I'm going to put it on the chat, B'ezrat Hashem. Let's see what everybody thinks. All right, gentlemen, all the best.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.